The best 25 players to play in the Championship in this decade. Let's go. So today we're compiling the best 25 individual seasons we've seen from players in the Championship. Now this only takes into consideration how they played when they were in the league and not what they've gone on to do afterwards. It isn't about consistency or over a long period of time, it's all about the one season of greatness. And the first season that we're going to be taking into consideration for today's video is the 09/10 season. And just before we do hop into today's video, if you're not already, make sure to go ahead and check out OneFootball in the top line of the description down below. It's a top football app to have, especially at this time of the year when we got so much football coming at us thick and fast. We got Championship football every other day, it seems, at the moment. So if you want to get live updates to your phone whenever a goal does go in, OneFootball is the place to stay on top of everything. As well as that, you can check out all the recent stats and news articles going around your club and you'll never miss anything ever again. So like I say, OneFootball link down below. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and please do subscribe. We're pushing our way towards 30,000 subscribers, so that will be massively appreciated. Let me know down below who do you think gets into the conversation, but without any further ado, let's hop into this one. Kickstarting the list in 25th, we're going to have Dwight Gayle for his 18/19 season with West Brom. Undoubtedly one of the most clinical strikers that we've ever seen in the Championship. That season ultimately didn't end in promotion for West Brom, but he formed a terrific partnership with Jay Rodriguez. He scored 23 goals and got 8 assists, so 31 goal contributions that season for Dwight Gayle. If we're talking about pace, trickery and clinical finishing, Dwight Gayle that season was absolutely sublime. Coming in 24th place, we're then going to have Reading's Gylfi Sigurdsson for his sublime 09/10 season. This was the youngster's first real taste of English football, and boy did he leave an impression on the Championship. This season scoring 16 goals and getting 7 assists from midfield. We're all aware of the fantastic player that Sigurdsson went on to become, but this season in the Championship he was absolutely superb. Coming in 23rd place, we are then going to have Tammy Abraham of Aston Villa for his 18/19 season. Now Tammy Abraham in the Championship, we've seen him have 2 fantastic loan spells here, one for Aston Villa and one previously before that for Bristol City, but it was this season for Villa when they finally got promoted back up to the Premier League, and it was thanks to Tammy Abraham's goals. 26 goals as well as 3 assists for the striker this season. He was absolutely clinical with everything that came his way. Obviously had the likes of Jack Grealish and John McGinn that were feeding him, but this was a real defining season for Abraham's career, and I think rightly so makes it onto this list. In 22nd place, we're going to have side Ben Rama for his fantastic season last time round with Brentford, where he notched up 17 goals and 9 assists, so 26 goal contributions for the Algerian winger. I think in years to come, that season from Ben Rama in the Championship will be looked back on as undoubtedly one of the most visually enjoyable seasons we've seen of a player in terms of pace and trickery and the actual audacity of just some of the goals that he went on to score that season. Obviously his partnership with Ollie Watkins was absolutely terrific, but side Ben Rama for me, easily one of the most skilled players we've seen playing the Championship this decade. In 21st place, we've got Newcastle's Kevin Nolan coming in for his 09/10 season. This was the year where Newcastle accumulated 102 points and went on to absolutely storm the league. That season Nolan got 17 goals from midfield, sort of playing as that number 10, sort of bouncing off Andy Carroll, who was also fantastic that year. He also got 4 assists to go alongside it, but he absolutely ran through the Championship that year. 20th place, I've got Tom Kearney for his 16/17 season with Fulham. Now ultimately this year for Fulham didn't end in promotion, they'd go on to get promoted the year after, and Tom Kearney would actually score in the playoff final. But in terms of Kearney's individual performances, I think that this was the best we ever saw him in the Championship. His game has developed over the years, he's always seemed to reinvent himself every year he's been in the Championship. As of late we saw him maybe dropping a little bit deeper, but in this season he was absolutely box office week to week. He was one of the best players in the Championship technically in terms of chance creation, goals from outside the box. He got 23 goal contributions this season with 13 goals and 10 assists. Sticking with the same season, in 19th we've got Anthony Knockaert for that promotion year with Brighton. This was the season where Knockaert really established himself as one of the best players in the Championship. He was absolutely untouchable, cutting inside from the right onto his left foot. The amount of goals he scored from outside the box, he scored some absolute screamers this season, was Brighton's best player player in the team which went on to be promoted, finishing in second. That season, Knockaert got 15 goals and 9 assists to go along with it. Absolutely terrific. In 18th place, we're going to have David Nugent. The season I picked out for Nugent was the 13/14 year. He was at Leicester and his strike partner was Jamie Vardy, and what a combination those two had. David Nugent did get the more goal contributions that season though, actually getting into double figures for both goals and assists. He got 20 goals and 12 assists this season, an integral part of that Leicester City side which went on to accumulate 102 points. David Nugent does currently hold the record for the most goals scored in the Championship during this decade, but his best season at this level, his peak of his powers, I'd say was at Leicester. In 17th place, we got the only defender coming on to today's list. That's Kieran Trippier of Burnley for his 13/14 season. Burnley did go on to be promoted that year. They had an absolutely rock solid defence, which obviously Trippier was a key component of, but going forward as well, he was very much the complete fullback in the Championship. That season got a goal for himself and 12 assists to go alongside it as well. In 16th place, we're then going to have Watford's Alman Abdi for his 12/13 season, a name which will probably make Sheffield Wednesday fans shudder, but Watford fans will know they most certainly got the best years out of Abdi in the Championship. He was an absolute diamond in midfield for them. Very much the complete attacking midfielder. He had so many different attributes to his game. He scored some wonderful goals that season for Watford, plenty of them coming from outside the box and from set pieces and things like that. That season for Watford got 12 goals and 9 assists. Then coming in at the halfway mark and in 15th, we're going to have Pablo Hernandez for his 18/19 season with Leeds United. I think in terms of a playmaker, one of the best seasons we've ever seen in the Championship. This was the first season that Bielsa came in and Hernandez was the real star of the show. This season, Hernandez got double figures for both goals and an assist, 24 goal contributions in all, and he was the focal point of some absolutely exquisite team goals that Leeds scored that season. Ultimately, they didn't go on to be promoted this season, they did that the year after, but Hernandez that season especially was something special. 14th place, we got Blackburn Rovers' Jordan Rhodes. Similar to Alman Abdi, Sheffield Wednesday fans definitely haven't seen the best years of him, but back in his Blackburn days, he was the Championship's go-to man for goals. In the 12/13 season for Rovers, he notched up 30 goal contributions in all with 26 goals and 4 assists. Over that sort of 3-season period that he spent with Blackburn in the Championship, he was an absolute goal machine. Coming in 13th place, we're going to have Blackpool's Tom Ince for the 12/13 season. He absolutely ripped apart Championship fullbacks, and this was part of a Blackpool squad where they were by no means at the peak of their powers. This was when they were starting to slowly fall down the Championship. Around this time, they pretty much were a one-man team, but what a player Tom Ince was. In terms of the numbers that he put up this season, it's one of the best seasons we've seen from a winger in the Championship in this decade. He got 18 goals and 14 assists, so 32 goal contributions in all for a Blackpool side who finished 15th that season. That season for Blackpool, it was pretty much a one-man show, but what a show it was. 12th place, we're then going to have Wolves' Ruben Neves in one of the best teams we've seen in the Championship in recent years, this Wolves side. Ruben Neves was the centrepiece of it. He very much dictated play for them, be absolutely brilliant at pinging the ball to either side with one of their attacking fullbacks bombing on, and he scored some absolutely dazzling goals as well, all of which coming from outside the box. That volley against Derby, still one of the most outrageous goals we've seen in Championship history. In 11th place, we then got Leeds United's Chris Wood for his 16/17 season. He got 27 goals that season and 4 assists to go alongside it as well, so 31 goal contributions. This was Leeds' season under Gary Monk. They just fell shy of the playoffs in the end, finishing 7th, but without doubt one of the most dominant seasons we've seen from a striker at this level. Chris Wood was an absolute unit, wasn't he? Now moving into the top 10, coming in 10th place, we are going to have Watford's Troy Deeney for the 14/15 season. Now Deeney managed to score over 20 goals in 3 consecutive seasons for Watford at this level, but it was the final one where they eventually went on to be promoted. He scored 21 goals and got 10 assists this season. I mean, overall their forward line this season was absolutely ridiculous. They had Igalo, Forestieri, Vidra and Deeney all playing in those forward areas, but Deeney was very much the glue which tied them all together, and he really did drag them over the line. In 9th place, we then got Blackpool's Charlie Adam for the 09/10 season. Undoubtedly, he was the player that dragged this Blackpool side to the Premier League. Scored that ridiculous goal in the playoff final, that free kick against Cardiff. But the numbers he put up as a midfielder in this Blackpool side were really something else. He got 18 goals and 9 assists as a midfielder. midfielder. In 8th place we then got Matt Ritchie of Bournemouth for his 14/15 season. He's had 2 terrific years in the Championship, one with Bournemouth and one with Newcastle as well, where he was absolutely dazzling. But in terms of, I would actually say probably the best winger that we've seen in the Championship this decade in terms of an individual season that he had. This season for Bournemouth, as they went on to win the league, he scored 15 goals and got 17 assists. Matt Ritchie's left foot this season was an absolute wonder as he got 32 goal contributions in all. 7th place we have one of the real forgotten gems of the Championship, Graeme Denis of West Brom for the 09/10 season. He absolutely pulled all the strings for West Brom, and when I went back to watch a few of the highlights from this season, he popped up with some outrageous moments. A fantastic set piece taker this season for West Brom as they were promoted. He scored 13 goals and got 18 assists. But for whatever reason, after this season, he could never really reach the same heights. But that season isolated alone, Graeme Denis was absolutely unbelievable. In 6th place then, we have Cardiff's Peter Whittingham, obviously sadly no longer with us. But looking back on his 09/10 season, this was one of the real highlights of his career. And, you know, no doubt he goes down as a real icon of the Championship. But this season for Cardiff, got 20 goals from midfield as well as 10 assists as well. So 30 goal contributions. In all competitions that season, he scored 26 goals. Obviously a wonderful free kick taker. Individually that season from Peter Whittingham was absolutely dazzling. Now getting into the top 5 though, this is where things get very interesting, and I shuffled around this list a couple of times, but I'm pretty happy with the ordering I've got at the moment, but it was a very difficult one to split. In 5th place we have Glen Murray for his 12/13 season with Crystal Palace. He still holds the record for the most goals scored in a Championship season, 30 goals that year for Palace as they were promoted, and 6 assists to go along with it as well. 30 goals in the season is some record. Coming in 4th place we are then going to have Norwich's Teemu Pukki from the 18/19 season. Now with Teemu Pukki, there's a lot to take into consideration here, you know. The fact that he came on a free transfer and how he absolutely took the league by storm this season. Norwich this season were right up there in terms of real entertainment value that we've ever seen in the Championship. This season Pukki got 29 goals and 10 assists, so one off the record set by Glen Murray. But with the fact that he got 4 more assists and he wasn't taking penalties, I'm just edging Pukki for that 4th place. Into the top 3 now, coming in 3rd position, we're going to have Ross McCormack for the 13/14 season with Leeds United. Now, I was going back and forth, who do I put in 3rd place? I was split between Pukki and McCormack. I've just edged McCormack, but it was a real close call. This season, Ross McCormack got 38 goal contributions for Leeds, 28 goals as well as 10 assists. The reason that I just edged McCormack in this debate is because he was playing in a less talented team. This Leeds squad ultimately finished 15th this season. Obviously, you know, Teemu Pukki had like Emi Buendia supplying him. And McCormack was just the real complete striker in the league at this point, whether it be creating chances for other people, scoring from different ways, you know, inside the box, outside the box, being a poacher, directly from free kicks as well. Ross McCormack had absolutely everything rolled into one, and this season for Leeds was just an absolute joy to watch. Like I said, with 28 goals this season. Now, top 2 was a tough one to split, but coming in 2nd place and just missing out on that number 1 spot, we have Ricky Lambert of Southampton for the 11/12 season. I would say the best season that we've seen from any striker ever in the Championship, especially from this decade. We'll narrow it to, but he had more goal contributions this season than any other player that we're going to talk about on today's list. 41 in all. He scored 27 goals and got 14 assists for Southampton this season. Numbers like that are just freakishly good. But this was of course the Southampton squad who's gone on to do unbelievable things in the Premier League. There was some real talent bedded throughout this one, you know, the likes of Adam Lallana, James Ward-Prowse, Morgan Schneiderlin, but Ricky Lambert stole the show that season. But taking that number 1 spot as the best individual season that we've seen in the Championship from this last decade, it's got to go for Abel Hazard. A freakishly good season where from midfield he managed to accumulate 40 goal contributions, 19 goals and 21 assists. But when we discuss a player like Taarabt, the numbers, as fantastic as they are, to just watch the guy play in the Championship this season was an absolute joy. He'd rinse people left, right and centre with a cheeky nutmeg and then just bend it into the top corner. It was as if he was always just playing like five-a-side football. Everything came so easily to him. He captained QPR 2 promotion that season, and I'm not sure we'll see a season quite like that again for some time now. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So there were my top 25 players this season in the Championship from the last decade. Do you agree with my list? Who do you think should be getting in there? It was really tough, like I say though, to narrow it down to 25. We've had some serious talent in this league over the last 10 years. But that will now wrap it up for today's video, guys. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content as well. But apart from that, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.